Okay, hi there everyone. So I'm going to be talking about custom transitions, and this is the transition that I made. Oh, actually, it was supposed to not be here at first. Okay, don't look for a second. Okay, now let me show you the transition. Okay, so this is custom transition, and I'm going to make that now. So I have here my HTML, the style for the thing that's going to twirl in. And so here I have transition twirl, but you'll notice I'm not importing any twirl thing. So all you need to do is write your own function with this name, and then it's going to call it for your transition. So the most basic thing you can do is return an object that has CSS, and this will return this CSS will map to a function, and this t will be called over and over again, and it's going to start at 0 and go all the way up to 1. So what you need to do is from this function return a string, probably a template string with some CSS in it. So let me think of a good example. So for example, transform, scale, and then you'll use the $ brackets to say, we'll just say t. Okay, so it's going to call this over and over again, and this should be in here. So this is the CSS, and then this is the function here. So it's going to call it's going to call this function over and over again and apply this CSS to the div. So if you can guess what will happen here, it's just going to grow from 0 to 1. And maybe we'll do it, well, here, I'll show that first. Okay, so it just grows like that. If I did times 2, it'll grow big, but then it'll go back to whatever its CSS is now. So here you can pass some stuff through if you want. Node will be the first parameter, and then the second will be the params. So another thing you can do is pass the normal transition params. So duration would be params dot duration. So then down here, just like in a normal transition, you could do, I want duration to be 4,000. Gotta put a comma there. Okay, so now it is 4,000. And let me just switch that back to t. And then if you wanted, you could do a default of like 2,000. That way, if there is nothing specified for duration, then it'll just do the default of 2,000 there. Okay, and you can also pass in like delay or other things like that. Okay, so that is kind of the basics. So here you've got your t. You can also pass in a u if you like, but u is just going to be 1 minus t. So u goes from 1 to 0, t goes from 0 to 1. So I don't find that extremely useful because you can just do 1 minus t here and get the same as u. But if you needed that, then you could pass a u as well. Okay, so let me show you how. So right now it's just going to do that, goes in like this, and goes out like that. And the nice thing about having this twirl function is that you can then just put it on any div that you like or any element, and it'll run this for you. So it is a bit like animation, but you have the power of JavaScript to do some cooler things with it. I don't know if it's as performant as CSS. I'm not sure, but anyway, node. If you're passing node into it, that would be like the element. This guy here would be passed in as node. So you might want to use that. I'm not going to use it, but you might want to use that to find out, okay, what is this node's CSS? So maybe it would be helpful to know that the, like, you could do something like const node CSS equals compute, I can't remember exactly, calculated CSS of node, blah, 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 and then you would know the node, and then you might use that information in your, in your function here. Okay, but anyway, I'm going to make what I had before. Next thing, so in the transition that I showed you at the beginning, it started over here and went all the way over here. So to get that, we're going to do transform is going to be translate x, And to get it, so normally it's right here because it has left of 40%. So translate x, to get it to start over here, I'm going to do, if I can remember this, t. So to get it, so t will start at 0. So if I do t minus 1, when it's 0, then it's going to be negative 1. Once it hits 1, it'll get to 0. So maybe I just want to do t minus 0.5. So as it goes, it's going to go from negative 0.5 all the way up to 0.5. So it'll start at a negative and it'll go to a positive. And then I can take that and just multiply it by some big number. So let's say like, well, let's start out with 100 just to see what it looks like. Pixels. Okay, let's see what that does. Okay, so that'll start it over here and take it over here. So if we want something more dramatic, we might do like 1,000. Boing. Then it goes across the whole screen like that. And then it shows up there. Okay, and then if you wanted to add the spinning, then you would do rotate. And here I do t times 720 degrees. So this will make it rotate twice because it's going to start at 0, remember? And once it hits 1, it'll get to 720. So it's basically going from 0 degrees to 720 degrees. So let's see that. Oh, didn't work. Okay, so make sure you don't put so with transform, you just put a space between the different things, the different transformations. Okay, so now it's spinning. Okay, the next thing is to get that like zoom in effect, like that right there. So once it gets there, then it comes in like that. So to do that, then I'm going to do it like that. And here I'll have an if statement. So if t is less than 0.8, then it's going to follow these instructions. So here, so before it was automatically returning that CSS because it's just there on one line, the arrow function, but now I'm going to actually have to explicitly say return this CSS. And maybe I'll do it like that just so it's on one line. Okay, and then else. So the last 0.2 seconds, it's going to do this, whatever it says here in else. So I want it to go back to normal, so I'm not going to use any of this transform, but I do want it to scale in. So that's, again, return transform. And I'll do, scale t. So it's going to go from 0 to 1. It'll return that. Let's see if that works. Nope. Okay, so it didn't work because it's at point. So it's only coming to this once it's already at 0.8, so it didn't start at 0. So maybe t minus 0.8. Okay, but that's only going to make it get a little bit big. Yeah, so the last thing we'll have to do is times 0.5. Times 0.5 because t minus 0.8, so it only has 0.2. It's going from 0.8 to 1, which is 0.2, and then we multiply it by 5, so it's going from like 0 to 1, if that makes sense. So some of this can be kind of tricky to get your head around, but with some practice. Okay, so now it's doing what I wanted. Okay, so that's how you make a custom function. Another thing you could do if you wanted to is like, so maybe, I guess, yeah, if you wanted to add, maybe you want it to be blinking or something the whole time, then you'd probably have to add into both of these strings, or you could put it up here, like, no, I don't think that would work either. You could put it in here, a string, like maybe you wanted, so let's call it const background equals background, and then it's going to be, we'll make it RGB, and we'll say 0 to 56, and then this will be t times 256, so it'll go from 0 to 1, and that'll be background, and then we can add this background onto both of these. So there's not much space, so it's kind of hard to make this look nice, but for now let's let's see, I'll put a colon there, because you remember, or semicolon, remember you need semicolon. I'll do a space, and then I'll put it at the beginning here. So background plus this in here too. Background plus. Another thing you could do is like add this on and then return, like you could say let CSS equal this to have a baseline, and then whatever this is, add it to it, and then return at the end. But I'll just do it like this. Okay, let me see if that works. I'm not positive if, let me see. Nope, it didn't work. Okay, background plus, so we need to have a space. Does this have a space there? Oh, also doesn't work. So there might be something wrong with the, oh yeah, whoops, I didn't close it here. Okay, RGB 0. Oh, okay, this needs to be a template string also, of course. Okay, there. So that's the background. Maybe if you want like the color to be changing, you could do that. Yeah. So, I mean, you could also make these changing and it'd flash around like that. But yeah, that's the basics of custom transitions. If you have any questions, let me know. I might make some more videos like this with just some other transitions. Maybe I can find some cooler ones. Also, please like and subscribe, and thank you very much.